I still remember the feeling of dread that washed over me when I saw the flickering lights in the woods that night. At first, I thought it was just a faulty street lamp, but the eerie glow pulsed through the trees, illuminating the dark underbrush where whispers seemed to congregate. It was June 12, 2021, a date that would forever haunt the town of Willow Creek, as the search for Sarah Langston, a vibrant 20-year-old college student, had just turned into a nightmare. Life in Willow Creek was simple, almost idyllic, a quiet suburban town with sprawling green parks and a close-knit community. Sarah had been home for the summer after her first year at university, excited to reconnect with friends and enjoy the tranquility of small-town life. On that fateful evening, she had planned to meet her friend Mia for a bonfire near the old sycamore tree in the woods. They were supposed to catch up and enjoy the warm summer night, but Sarah never arrived. When Sarah didn't show up at the bonfire, Mia grew concerned and quickly alerted Sarah's family. Panic set in as the hours went by. Everyone assumed she had just lost track of time. It wasn't until the morning of June 13th that the local authorities were called in, a full night after her disappearance, when the search parties began to comb through the dense woods. The community rallied, hoping to find Sarah safe, unaware of the darkness that lay ahead. The search intensified as volunteers, guided by flashlight beams slicing through the pitch-black night, fanned out into the wilderness. It became clear that time was of the essence. Officers organized into groups, calling out her name, but only silence greeted them in return. Hours turned into days, and hope began to fade, as the search remained fruitless, with only the sounds of rustling leaves and distant coyote calls filling the air. It was on the fourth day of the search that something chilling happened. A local man, while walking his dog along a remote path near the river, discovered a backpack partially buried beneath the roots of an ancient oak tree. Identifying it as Sarah's, the authorities were alerted immediately. The backpack bore signs of struggle, mud caked on the fabric, and inside they found her belongings, her phone, a shirt, and even a pair of earrings she often wore. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community, and the search morphed from a rescue operation into a full-blown criminal investigation. Detective Jameson, who had been leading the investigation, was determined to uncover what had happened to Sarah. He began following every lead, interviewing friends, family, and anyone who had seen her last. Mia told him about the eerie feeling she had when Sarah didn't arrive at the bonfire, recalling whispers floating through the trees that night. It was almost as if the woods were alive, watching us, she said, her voice trembling as she recounted that moment. As days turned into weeks and still no sign of Sarah, the townsfolk grew restless. A sense of paranoia settled over Willow Creek. There were rumors of strange happenings in the woods. Some claimed to have seen figures at the edge of their properties, watching late at night. Others reported echoing laughter that seemed to emerge from nowhere. In a close-knit town where everyone knew everyone else, the thought of a predator lurking in the shadows was unbearable. The investigation took a surprising turn when a local hunter came forward with information. He claimed he had seen a vehicle parked near the entrance to the woods on the night of Sarah's disappearance. The detective followed this lead, tracking down the owner, a man named Tyler Granger. Tyler lived a mile from the woods and had a history of encounters with the law. His alibi for that night raised further suspicion. Under questioning, Tyler's demeanor changed drastically. At first, he expressed concern for her safety, but as the hours dragged on, his answers became increasingly evasive. He spoke of an argument he had overheard between two people in the woods that evening, and when pressed, inconsistencies in his timeline emerged. Detectives discovered that Tyler had been out drinking with friends the night Sarah disappeared, but his friends all provided conflicting accounts of his whereabouts after midnight. As the investigation deepened, the police learned about an abandoned cabin deep in the woods that had gained a dark reputation among locals. Some claimed it was haunted, while others whispered of it being the site of illegal activities. Detective Jameson decided it was time to search this cabin, hoping it could provide the breakthrough they desperately needed. A team was assembled, flashlights in hand, hearts racing as they ventured into the wooded depths. Inside the cabin, it was as if time had stopped. Dust covered every surface. A broken chair lay awkwardly in one corner, and remnants of old newspapers cluttered the floor. However, the most chilling discovery was an old map pinned to the wall, with various locations marked in red, one of which was alarmingly close to where Sarah's backpack was found. The detectives couldn't shake off the feeling that they were getting closer to a truth that could shatter the community forever. As they dug deeper into Tyler's background, they uncovered more disturbing details. He had been expelled from previous schools for violent behavior, and had a fascination with the dark lore surrounding the woods. It was becoming increasingly evident that he had knowledge of the area that went beyond mere chance. Could he have known the woods better than anyone else, and did he indeed have something to do with Sarah's disappearance? Weeks turned into a month, and the community was paralyzed by fear. Then, on July 15th, while excavating the area near the cabin, searchers stumbled upon a shallow grave. The world came crashing down when Sarah's remains were discovered, leading to Tyler's arrest. But even with the case seemingly wrapped up, unanswered questions haunted the town. What truly happened during those last hours? Why was her body hidden so close to where her belongings were found? As the trial commenced, the courtroom became a battleground of emotions. Witnesses painted a picture of a vibrant young woman full of dreams, juxtaposed against Tyler's chilling indifference. Sarah's family had to endure recounting the moments leading up to her disappearance, and layers of their anger and grief became palpable in the air. As the jury deliberated, it was impossible not to feel the weight of the unsolved pieces left behind. In the end, Tyler was convicted, but the overarching mystery of why he did it remained unanswered. The woods whispered secrets that no one would ever know. It left a dark stain on Willow Creek, a community that had once been filled with laughter and camaraderie. As the sun set behind the trees, casting elongated shadows over the town, one question lingered in the air. What dark truth had the woods been hiding all along? A blood-curdling scream shattered the tranquility of Maple Lane, echoing through the neatly lined houses like a signal of impending doom. I was driving home from work late on March 5th, 2022, when I heard it, a high-pitched wail that made my skin crawl. I pulled up to my driveway, but before I could step out, I saw flashing lights reflecting off the neighbors' windows. Something sinister was unfolding in our quiet little neighborhood. Maple Lane was the kind of place where children played in the streets, couples strolled hand in hand, and everyone knew each other's names. It was the epitome of suburban life, but that facade of safety was about to be shattered. Earlier that evening, a 36-year-old mother named Lisa Thompson had been reported missing by her husband. They had been married for 12 years and had 2 children who were now left confused and frightened. The day Lisa vanished, her husband Mark claimed they had argued over financial issues, which had been a growing strain on their marriage. Lisa had been visibly upset and walked out of their home shortly after dinner, never to return. Initially, neighbors thought she was simply taking a walk to cool off. However, as night fell and she still hadn't returned, concern began to mount, leading Mark to report her missing by 9 p.m. By 10 p.m., police were already knocking on doors, trying to gather information from anyone who might have seen her last. Officers spoke to several neighbors who had heard the commotion hours earlier, but assumed it was just another argument. It wasn't until they began canvassing the nearby woods that the sense of urgency escalated. Officers searched the area until the early hours of the morning, but found no trace of Lisa. As the sun rose the next day, Maple Lane transformed into a hub of activity. News trucks arrived, eager for updates on Lisa's disappearance. The community came together, organizing search parties and distributing flyers with her picture. However, conflicting accounts began to surface. While some neighbors claimed they had seen Lisa pacing by the edge of the woods, others mentioned spotting her walking towards an old abandoned house at the end of the street just before she vanished. Detective Harris was assigned to the case and quickly followed these leads. The old house at the end of Maple Lane had long been a topic of gossip among the locals. They referred to it as the Hollow House, rumored to be home to strange occurrences, including unexplained noises and sightings of shadowy figures. Many believed it was cursed, and now it seemed to hold the key to Lisa's disappearance. Harris decided to investigate this abandoned dwelling without delay. Upon entering the Hollow House, Detective Harris was struck by the oppressive silence. The air felt thick, as if it were holding on to secrets waiting to be released. Dust motes danced in the thin beams of light that trickled through the dirty windows. Old furniture lay haphazardly scattered around, and the walls were adorned with peeling wallpaper, giving the impression that time had stood still here. What could possibly have happened inside these 4 walls? As Harris searched the house, he stumbled upon a hidden basement door, its handle barely visible under layers of grime. Heart racing, he pushed it open to reveal a dark stairway that spiraled downward into the unknown. The dim light of his flashlight flickered as he descended, illuminating old boxes and furniture remnants. What happened in this dark corner of Maple Lane? The unsettling feeling grew stronger as he realized this could be where Lisa had ended up. In the basement, the oppressive atmosphere thickened, and as he moved deeper, Harris discovered something that made his blood run cold. A series of photographs pinned to the wall. Each captured a different woman, all of whom were reported missing from the neighborhood over the past 2 decades. Lisa was among them, her picture carefully tacked in the center, surrounded by a haunting collection of memories that seemed to converge into one grotesque mural of despair. Harris felt a wave of nausea wash over him as he pieced together the frightening truth. The Hollow House had been a lair, a space where the unimaginable had occurred, and Lisa was now just another name in a long list of victims. Rushing back to the surface, he reported his findings, and a deeper investigation into the history of the house began. Who had owned it? What had transpired within its walls? There were too many unanswered questions. Detectives soon uncovered that the house had belonged to a reclusive figure named Harold Finch, who had mysteriously disappeared himself 5 years prior. Rumors began to circulate that he had been involved in the disappearances of several women in the neighborhood. Investigating Harold's connections and past behavior, detectives found alarming details about his mental health and criminal history. But why had no one connected the dots sooner? As the investigation deepened, they unearthed disturbing evidence, missing persons reports that had been dismissed and later forgotten. Each woman once linked to Harold, the whispers accumulating with their stories, faded into the background of Maple Lane's idyllic image. The town began to realize how far-reaching and dark the secrets of its past truly were. But the question haunted them: how many had vanished without a trace, and how could they have missed the signs? Despite the mounting evidence against Harold Finch, he remained elusive. The case grew more complicated as the investigation took them down a rabbit hole of witness testimonies, haunting testimonies left by those who had encountered him. But to everyone's horror, Harold was never found. He had simply vanished like the women before him. The town was left reeling under the weight of unanswered questions, a darkness looming over Maple Lane. Where was he hiding, and who else could be lurking within their community's shadows? The case remained open, a chilling reminder of the dangers that can lurk beneath the surface of even the safest neighborhoods. Maple Lane would never fully recover from the knowledge that its own had fallen victim to darkness. As nights grew longer, whispers returned, and those who still resided there cast wary glances toward the hollow house. What truly happened to Lisa Thompson, and, more disturbingly, how many others had met a similar fate? As the sun dipped below the horizon on July 20th, 2023, a piercing scream echoed through Lake Echo, sending ripples across the water's surface. I was camping near the lake with friends that weekend, and the tranquility of our surroundings was ruptured by that unsettling sound. In moments, people emerged from their tents, fear etched on their expressions as we all turned to each other, wondering who had made that haunting cry. Lake Echo was a popular summer destination known for its picturesque views and hiking trails. Families flocked there every season to relax and enjoy nature. My friends and I had made our way there for a weekend of fun, not knowing that what awaited us would be an unforgettable horror story. Earlier that day, we had met a group of local campers who told us about the lake's history, including tales of disappearances that had unsettled the community for years. The local lore was unsettling over the last 20 years. 6 campers had mysteriously vanished, and no one had ever been found. Each disappearance bore eerie similarities, all happened on clear summer nights, and all were last seen near the lake. By the time I went to sleep that night, I couldn't shake off the chill that ran down my spine. As I lay in my tent, I was reminded of the stories and felt the weight of the woods surrounding us, engulfing our camp. The next morning, we awoke to find one of our new friends, a lively guy named Ethan, missing. Initially, we assumed he had made his way to the nearby convenience store or gone for an early morning swim, but as hours passed with no sign of him, panic began to set in. His absence felt heavy, almost tangible, and the stories we had heard the night before replayed in our minds. We decided to search the area, hoping against hope that he would turn up. The search soon turned frantic as we reached the lakeside. The water was calm, reflecting the blue sky above, yet it felt deceptive, a facade of peace masking the chaos that was unfolding. We called his name, but only silence responded. As the minutes stretched on, I felt an exaggerated sensation of dread creeping in, and my heartbeat quickened. It was as though the lake was holding its breath, waiting. As searchers spread out along the shore, my friend Hannah noticed something unusual near the edge of the water. A piece of fabric caught on a branch. Approaching cautiously, I could feel the knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. The material had a familiar design. It was a part of Ethan's swim trunks. We pulled it from the branch with trembling hands, realizing how grave the situation had become. The lake's surface rippled ominously as if mocking our desperation. As we reported our findings to the rangers, they quickly mobilized a search team, and the tension escalated. Local authorities were called in as the magnitude of Ethan's disappearance became evident. His family was notified, and the once peaceful lake was now turned into an active crime scene. I felt a mix of fear and disbelief. How could this happen in a place meant for relaxation and joy? Days passed as the search continued, but as hope dwindled, the investigation turned towards the pest. Investigators began digging into the lake's history and its troubled past, uncovering secrets that had long been buried. The initial missing persons reports revealed a disturbing trend. All of the missing individuals had one thing in common: they had been camping near Lake Echo at the time of their disappearance, each case slipping through the cracks of time as whispers of them faded. Rumors had circulated among the campers, suggesting a connection between these disappearances and the lake itself, as if Lake Echo had an insatiable thirst. Some locals began to share ghost stories about a vengeful spirit that resided beneath the water's depths, luring unsuspecting campers to their doom. These tales, once dismissed, suddenly took on an air of terrifying plausibility as we faced the reality of Ethan's disappearance. As authorities intensified their search, divers were called in to scour the lake bed, hoping to find evidence of Ethan's whereabouts. While they worked tirelessly, I felt a sinking feeling in my gut that something sinister lurked beneath the water. The search was complicated by the lake's murky depths and rocky underwater terrain, and as days turned to weeks without answers, my hope began to fade. Finally, on August 8th, divers emerged from the water with grim news. Ethan's body had been found, but the circumstances surrounding his death were shrouded in mystery. The coroner's report revealed no immediate signs of trauma, raising more questions than answers. How could someone so full of life, joy, and adventure end up in the depths of a lake, seemingly untouched by the chaos surrounding them? The investigation into Ethan's death quickly turned into a media frenzy, and Lake Echo's dark history was laid bare for all to see. As reporters dissected the details, the echoes of past disappearances loomed larger than ever, each story woven into a tapestry of tragedy, each victim haunting the memories of the community. But what truly lay beneath the surface of that lake? Was it merely coincidence, or was there a malevolent force at work? In the aftermath, the townspeople were left with a heavy weight in their hearts. The mystery of Ethan's death remained unsolved, and the questions surrounding Lake Echo hung in the air like a fog that refused to lift. Many stopped visiting the lake, content to let its dark past remain buried, while others became obsessed with uncovering its secrets. What grim truths lay hidden beneath the surface? And was Ethan's death the final